let us talk about my 10th book from the Booker long list. Baby, we are so close to the end. And that is Held by Anne Michaels. I think we're going to fight over this one. Fight in my comments. Hello, book friends. It's Alyssa. Welcome back to the channel. I'm actually really excited to talk about this because this is the book that I think is going to divide us the most on the long list because I loved this and so many people have loathed this, absolutely loathed it, hated it. And I see why and I know why. And this is the style and kind of book that if you are into it, you're going to be all in your feels. You're going to be vibing. You're going to be loving it. But if you don't like this kind of crap, it's going to bother the shit out of you. And I love a book like this. I love that this is the last thing I'm reviewing tonight for you all in this batch of filming. This is like the fun part of reading reading a list like this and reviewing them like this and putting these out and talking to you guys is because this is the kind of thing where like, we're going to fight. We're going to be like, no, this is good. This is bad. This is it. This is it. Like, I love it. So what is Held? Held is a very short novel. It's not the shortest one, but it's one of the shortest ones on the list. And it's written by a Canadian poet. Already there, a lot of people get a little weird with poets who write prose, okay? I love it. I eat this shit up. This is a fragmented novel that spans like a century plus. It follows different couples, love, loss, generational trauma, just life trauma, how they're all kind of interconnected through time. I think there's a little bit of hint of like eco stuff in here as well as we get near the end. I'm going to give you a little list here from this little review over here from the Conversation, an academic rigor and journalistic flair, whatever that is. I don't know, some article, but they have a nice little summary of where we go. So it says, the novel ambitiously spans more than a century. It moves from Cambria in 1917 to North Yorkshire in 1920, London in 1951, Suffolk in 1984 and 64. Sio? Oh, can't do French words. In 1910, Brest Litvix in 1980, Paris in 1908, Dorset in 1912, back to Suffolk in 1910, before concluding in the Gulf of Finland in 2025. And that's when you get a little hint of eco stuff. And it is just absolutely beautiful. This book, to me, is like, this is an Alyssa book. If you wanted to understand me and the things that make me happy, I like books with a ton of trauma. I like books that are incredibly, just like beautifully written and almost poetic. I like grief. I like reflection. I like just a beautifully turned phrase. Oh, I want to be in all my feels. This is filled with just metaphor, imagery, vibes. I loved this. And I can see why some of y'all are going to hate it. I get it. I get the criticism. But for me, this was everything. I hope it is shortlisted. This is what I want in a Booker book. I want you to play with some things. I want you to play with language and time and imagery and form, like make it fragmented, make me feel things, bring in like almost supernatural qualities at times, make those sort of nebulous connections between place, generation, person, everything. Do it. Make me feel, make it feel special. Do something interesting, original, different. Don't just give me an overly plotty book with no point. Don't just give me a really well-rounded but mostly like meh historical fiction or family saga. Don't do that for me. Do something special. And I appreciate that. I'm also starved for it on this list. So there is the chance that like I am like a woman who's been walking in the desert and sees a mirage of an RC Cola vending machine and just wants a drink. Okay, that feels like a very 80s reference, but I loved this book. It's not perfect. I do think I do have some criticism. I think when we get about 2/3 of the way in and we have moved through the more modern day people and we go back again, and while we're in with like Marie Curie and her escape out of France, I don't know if we needed that latter third. I don't know if we needed it. It felt like we were folding back in on ourselves, and I don't know if we needed to fold back in on ourselves. Like we were going very nicely, progressively through time, and then we fold back in, and I don't 100% know why. I still really love the writing. I don't know if we needed to keep going through this next thread that gets us to 2025. If you have thoughts on that, please let me know. If you also really enjoyed this, if you hated it, tell me. Go off, sound off. All comments are welcome. Engagement is wonderful. So tell me I'm wrong. Have fun. I don't mind. Let's see if I can find anything good to read to you. There's a lot of like reflecting on life and death and love and the things that have happened to us. War plays very heavily on this in this story, and the way that that breaks bonds and breaks people and changes lives in like a much more like intimate way, not necessarily like on this really big grand world scale, but like in individual little relationships, how those things impact people, particularly war, particularly like just cruelty and human suffering, how that affects a person and their relationships very intimately. And I love that look. I don't know, I'm just gonna pick some random stuff because I have a lot of things highlighted and I don't know how else to do this. Perhaps consciousness only occurred when there were enough humans alive to generate the spark, to seal the circuit, the critical mass for the grain of sand to become the dune, the synapse to allow a flock to change direction in an instant. I just love the way she like crafts a sentence. Ironically, no political system, no matter how crushing or reductive, operates without the basic premise of free will. For any system is dependent on the submission of that free will, or every time we disguise the truth, we weaken our will. There are so many ways the dead show us they are with us. Sometimes they stay deliberately absent in order to prove themselves by returning. Sometimes they stay close and then leave in order to prove they were with us. Sometimes they bring a stag to a graveyard, a cardinal to a fence, a song on the wireless as soon as you turn it on. Sometimes they bring a snowfall. I love that. I love that. If you've ever lost somebody and after you've lost them, you've seen that thing. There's a thing that you've seen. Some of you out there know that. And you're like, that's my loved one. God, I love that. There's so many. Like I highlighted the bejesus out of this. Where else would the spirit be but embedded in matter? Why was science so intent on tearing them apart? The spirit evaporates from the body on its own, like water evaporating from seawater, leaving the stain of salt behind. To think of everything as chemical did nothing to dissuade her. It was not a contradiction. Where else would spirit cleave but to matter? To erase someone from an image does not erase the memory of their having been in that place, does not erase the memory of that person or that person's memory. Perhaps memory dies when we do. Perhaps it evaporates, leaving salt behind. When someone dies, the very air changes. I love it. I love this book. I love the way she talks about death and love and connection and people and humanity and consciousness and everything. I love it. I love it. I ate this up with a spoon. Loved it. Tell me why you hated it, because I know like 90% of you probably did. And that's fine. This is what we're here for. We're here to yell at each other in my comments about a book. Anyway, I'm putting this near the top. Absolutely adored this. This was lovely. More of this, please. I'm very curious about her other book, The Fugitive Pieces. I think that's her. She won the Orange Prize for that novel. And then she has a debut collection of poetry called The Weight of Oranges, which I do really want to look at because I'm very curious about her writing. But anyway, I love this. Let me know your thoughts. I need to wrap this up because I've blabbered on too long about this, and I still need to get these all edited and read 3 more books. Anyway, the last 2 are arcs, so I don't have any audio, I don't have anything. Like I just have to suffer through them. If I hate them, I can't like barrel through them, which is really just torturing me with one of these because I'm absolutely not loving it. But anyway, there's a playlist in the description of everything that I have read so far and their reviews. So if you want to see them all, They're all down there. You can watch them in the row. Anyway, like and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. That's it. Goodbye.